All right, thrilled to be joined now by what I used to call UFC strawweight, and now she's making her move to the flyweight and headlining her first UFC fight. We've seen her at co-main events, and now she's the main event coming up this Saturday against Jessica Ai, and I'm thrilled to be joined by her. It seems like we've been doing this for a few years now. Cynthia Calvillo, how are you?
It's crazy. It's such a crazy ride. I mean, honestly, this is not something I was expecting this year, but considering everything that's been going on, I'm not surprised. So, I don't even know how to describe it. I'm just happy that there's something positive going on during this time.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I mean, just to start, I mean, there's so many angles we could start, but I think I'd start right there since you mentioned it. I know, this pandemic has taken everybody by storm and everyone's had to adjust their routines and their way of life. And for you, you're a fighter and you can train anywhere, but I know routine and it's a way of life for you. And it's such an important part of your life. How has this kind of impacted your life?
It was actually pretty crazy because I ended up moving back to San Jose, which is my hometown, and with like my family, and on top of that, they shut down the gym. So it was weird. It almost felt like I went back to like normal life without like fighting. Like I was like, okay, what's going on here? I'm going back to my parents' house, staying in my old room. It's not like the same vibe because like when I was living on my own for the last couple of years, everything I had in my apartment had to do with like fighting or how. This time it's just like I was back in my parents' house, but like I'm like 10 all over, just trying to do all my laundry and feed me. So that's great, but it's also thank God I moved up to flyweight. But then also, it's the training was hard. Obviously, we still had to adjust, and as an athlete, a professional athlete, we have to like make sure we keep our bodies moving whatever way we can. But our county and Santa Clara County got hit really bad, so the gyms are still technically they're just still not open. I barely got into a gym about 3 weeks ago, so and then I took the fight. So it's been crazy adjustment, but I mean, we're professionals, we know how to fight, so we were able to prepare the best way we could.
Yeah, I know when you get ready to take a main event, I know that there's so many things and so many pressures that are put upon you, but doing so and preparing to fight in front of really nobody in terms of who's in the building, is that going to change things for you?
I have no idea. I don't think I've ever fought anywhere with like no crowd. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not sure how eerie or I'm sure, I know it's going to be different obviously because we'll be able to hear like everything, every hit and stuff, and the commentators, we get some extra corner in there. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to say the least, but I mean, I don't think that changes the competitiveness in me. Who knows, maybe it takes the nerves off a little bit, but it's gonna be tough because we got a 5-rounder. We got 3 weeks to get ready for a fight for something that's supposed to be fight rounds. And we're normally used to doing 3 rounds. So we'll see how it goes. Maybe it'll help with that. That way our nerves won't get us tired faster, and we could get through this fight.
How's your outlook going to stepping into a new weight class at flyweight at 125? It's your first debut there, and it's going to be a headlining fight against Jessica Ai, who is a common name to a lot of people out there, and no way to make a bigger splash within the division. Does this just make you that much more dangerous at 125?
I think so. I think that if I come in, I'm like, hey guys, what's up? Little strawweight's coming up, and by the way, I'm trying to take out your number 1 contender. Like, everybody's probably like, what the heck? I know a lot of people were surprised with it, especially because originally I think I was supposed to fight, I had a different fight. I was supposed to fight Antonina Shevchenko, which she was ranked number 12. So we were kind of going evenly, when I switched over, I'm number 10 as a strawweight. So I was like, okay, make the transition. And but everybody was getting filled up with fights. And once I got into the gym, I was probably a week in, and I was like, all right, we should probably try to line something up for like, maybe July, now that we're, give us enough time. So I hit up my manager. I was like, well, I see Jessica Ai doesn't have a fight lined up, give it a shot, you never know. So I told him, and then, I said I wanted to fight her in July, but then the UFC came back with like, how about main event in 3 weeks? And I'm like, yes, you don't say no to those opportunities. So, man, I'm excited. I think this is the right weight class for me. It's still a weight cut for me. I still have to be, very, pay attention to what I'm eating and stuff like that. But it's not the same way where like before I felt like I was eating like a rabbit. Like now I can eat healthy, but like eat good, hearty, healthy food. So I feel great. I think this is the weight class that I belong to. I think hopefully, I've noticed a lot of more people are going up and making this safer. It's better for all of us. because it's longevity. You know, we'll be able to fight longer. So I'm stoked. I think I'm going to make a huge splash. So I'm going to surprise a lot of people. I think people think I'm going to be small, but I weigh heavy. I got some heavy bones.
Well, and it's crazy because I look at some of the names within that division, and I heard you say, you know, there's a lot of people you fought before. I know that before you came to UFC, you had fought Aspen Ladd, who's also based in the Sacramento area, and you know, it's just crazy that a lot of these names you kind of cross paths with again. So for me, it makes sense, but at the same time, it also feels like while this might be home, that if the right fight comes along, there's no reason you can't go back down to strawweight.
Absolutely, that's the way I look at it. I mean, the plan had always been, you know, to move up to flyweight. The thing is that I had to put my foot in as a strawweight because there's no flyweight division at the beginning. So my goal was like, all right, well, I can make the weight. I'll suffer as long as I need to make this weight. And I want to win the belt. As soon as I win the belt, I'm going up to flyweight. So I don't have to do these crazy cuts. But, you know, after missing weight twice, you know, and it became really difficult. I was like, I cannot do this. It's just, you know, it takes away from my professionalism. It makes me look bad. You know, a lot of people don't respect me. I'm not going in there like mentally good. You know, when you go through things like that. I mean, I think one of the 2 times that I did lose, I got one draw, and the other one I finished it in the first round. So it's not like I lose these fights, but it's still, you know, it takes away from even when I won, like I felt so crappy. So I don't want to do that. I don't want to leave no more room for excuse. I think flyweight division is where I belong, and I can take these short notice fights without a problem. Like, you know, I'm going to take, Dana White said he's going to promise all of us 4 fights this year. So I'm going to take him up on that offer if I can get it done.
Yeah, I mean, the opportunities are endless right now. And I was thinking, I was like, man, I kind of wanted to see you at Fight Island. I was just, because I remember talking to you, you're the one that always keeps in my mind when all these different locations you look at as Street Fighter, and what better way to do it on an island in the middle of nowhere.
We're going there for sure. I'm pretty sure, like, as soon as we're done with this fight, I never like to look ahead of my opponent, but hopefully everything goes well with this fight. You know, we both come out, you know, without any broken bones or injuries, any, you know, big injuries, that I can probably make a turnaround and fight in July. You know, I can very well do that. A lot of fighters are doing that. A couple fighters already been fighting back to back, you know, 2 weeks or 1 week apart. So it's a possibility. We can definitely go to Fight Island this summer.
That's awesome. I know, look, in talking to you, I know, look, you won't turn down a fight, but I wonder what that list looks like. I mean, I know there's probably that list of, you're like, I'm not going to turn down these people, but at the same time, these are the ones I really want. How long is that list of people you really want?
Probably endless, just because I want to fight everybody. I mean, to me, I think it's just a challenge. Like, I'm so competitive. I want to know whether, you know, who's the better person. And I don't look at anybody like, yeah, of course there's going to be different fighters that are more dangerous than others, but that doesn't mean that every fight, you know, styles make fights. So even if you might beat this one person, you think you're going to beat this person because they beat that person, and it doesn't work that way. Yeah, it can be very well the same way. So I don't count anybody out. If they're in front of me, you know, if I need to get to where I need to be, then yeah, go. Like, for example, let's say, I think when I wanted to fight in Sacramento before I got injured, I wanted a top ranked fighter. You know, I wanted somebody who was ranked higher than me, but I wanted to fight in Sacramento so bad. I couldn't get a ranked fighter for that card, but I wanted to fight in Sacramento. So I took a lesser ranked one. She was still dangerous. She was a previous Invicta champion, you know, and coming in. So, but, you know, so it doesn't, yeah, the list is endless.
That's great. And I know, you know, since I last talked to you, obviously there's been a lot made of obviously going back home, going back to San Jose. Luckily, you're not that far down the road to where we can't still touch base. You're still California, Northern California roots. But what's kind of the motivation behind that at the moment to kind of change teams, change coaches?
I think it was just because it was the time. There's a lot of changes that were happening. And I think it was kind of like leading into just the vibes that I was getting. You know, it was really a heartbreak when the team started kind of like falling apart with the coaches, and it really impacted me a lot. And just wasn't as happy anymore. And I would try to stick it out, you know, but it just couldn't, because it's like it started, I feel like, showing in, you know, the way that I work and my performances or going into the gym. So I think it was best for me to go back home. I was really missing my parents and my family. And even though it was 2 hours away, I was so consumed with like fighting that I didn't, even on my active rest days, I used that day to get ready for the week, you know. So I wouldn't, even if it was 2 hours away, I still wouldn't make the drive, because it was just so focused, you know. I'm into it. So like now it gave me the chance to do that. And it kind of, it reminded me why I'm doing this, you know. Somebody, you went away for a long time, you kind of change as a person. I went back to my hometown. I get to be around the neighborhood that I grew up with, like all the kids that grew up the same way that I did. And man, it just reminded me why I do this. And so it feels great. It's so that motivation is been working for me. So yeah, I can't wait. I feel so much better right now. So I'm happy with being able to be home now.
That's outstanding. And then, looking at just recent fights, obviously after the defeat you tasted with Carlos Esparza, you rattled off 2 wins, and then you were coming off a majority draw, I think it was. I was curious, how did that experience with the majority draw decision, how do you internalize that as a fighter? Does that feel just what it says, like a draw? Do you treat it as a loss? I'm kind of curious how you kind of rationalize that.
It almost feels like, well, for me, it did end up feeling more like a loss, I think, because I missed weight, I think that threw a lot of shade on it, especially because this is my second time. So I was getting a big hit on that. It wasn't, but at the end of the day, if people knew what I went through during that fight camp and to pull off what I pulled off to come back with my heart in the 3rd round, they wouldn't be hating on me as much as they did. I had to endure like staph infections, like, they were really bad, like even in my training camp, and then popped again during fight week. And I was in the hospital a lot of times, but I couldn't show any of that stuff because I needed a fight. I needed to financially fight. And, at the end of the day, I know that I'm a fighter, and that, I wasn't going to let anybody like beat me up. I mean, it showed. She got me with some good stuff, but she wasn't going to get me out of there. Like, I was going to keep going. So I was proud of myself that I was able to still do that, and that I showed a lot of heart in that fight, because it looked like she was almost going to take me out in the second. She did get me once good in the belly. So I was like, oh, just survive the second, and the third one, you got to come out and you got to take her out, It was a tough one, I just want to put it behind me. I think I'm getting a lot of hate. I'm still getting a lot, like, especially even now that I'm like, the main event. A lot of people are like, how is this girl getting a main event? And she just like missed weight and got a draw, and she gets the #1 contender. Doesn't make sense, honestly. I'm very, very thankful for the opportunity. I think the UFC, they have my back, and I really appreciate that. But at the same time, I also know that a lot of fighters weren't willing to take that spot. They don't want to take a 5-rounder, or they're not ready to fight the #1 contender. Sometimes you ask for it, and you'll get it, and that's what I did. So yeah, I think it's tough coming from that, but I feel better. I feel like I'm ready to put all of that behind me.
I mean, you can control what you can control. That doesn't make sense to me when people are like shaming you for being a headlining fight in your first time in the division coming in. Like, that's beyond your control.
It is, but people else though, they're like, once you get one going, then they all follow. I mean, that's just the way it goes. So a lot of people, I mean, and it's also, I think it's like for her too. I think a lot of people, for whatever reason, they're just hating on both of us. They have a tendency on being kind of upset about women headliners, but it's becoming more and more common. So I'm really proud to be one of them.
Yeah, it seems like the greatest fighter ever that we've witnessed is Amanda Nunes, and we just saw what happened in this last fight. That was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Just how do you kind of see this Apex Center? For people who don't know, obviously it's not a huge arena. There's obviously no crowd. It seems just like a gym, and it's probably not all that unfamiliar to you considering of your kind of path to the UFC. But for the average fan, they probably are thinking it's an arena, and it looks like it's nothing like that at all.
Yeah, no, it's just like an open space area. I mean, I've been to the Contender one. I haven't actually seen the Apex, but I went to the Cage location that they had the Contender show series before. And I hear it's great. I hear it looks great. I haven't got to see it yet. I think I'll be able to see it on Thursday or Friday or something like that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, the UFC has been, man, the state of the art, everything that they're putting up here for the athletes, just amazing. I feel like catered to, but it's too much. So I don't know if I could live like this 24/7. They're just like taking care of me, and I'm like, once I'm done fighting, I don't even know how to take care of myself because they do everything for me.
That's awesome.
Nutrition, massages, and like, yeah, just show up here, everything's ready. And I'm like, oh my god, it's like feels like you're some kind of retreat, But yeah, no, it's amazing. I can't wait to check that place out.
That's great. And when you look at this fight coming up, I mean, you kind of touched on a little bit the positives of being a headliner, maybe the pressures of being a headliner. I know I saw a really cool poster with you on it. Is that the first poster you've ever had? I mean, I can't think of. I know it's your first headlining fight, but have you ever had a poster for your fight coming up?
No, I mean, I've had it for like other events like that were amateurs, but no, not like this. This is my first one. I was like, holy crap. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I might need you to snag me one of those for sure.
You know what sucks? I'm sorry. I totally would. But this year, because of the COVID, they're not doing the posters.
Wow.
I'm bummed. Like, if I get my first poster, and I didn't even get one.
Oh my gosh, that's unbelievable. I'm sure they got to fix that for sure.
I hope they sneak one in.
When you look at Jessica I know you kind of talked a little bit about her. Just if you could do it again here, just what do you see in the challenge ahead of you? What happens this Saturday?
I think her mentality is definitely going to be one of her toughest ones. She's nitty gritty and she just wants to fight out there. She's tough. She's going to be strong and tough. She's been around for a long time. But I don't really see any huge improvements. I mean, she might have improved a little bit better because she's since moved teams to here in Las Vegas. So it's, good for her. And for right now, it's like she's fighting in her hometown. I just think she's going to be dangerous. She might be in a better headspace, mentally as far as what she was before, She's just really, really tough, and I think she thinks it's going to be an easy fight. She thinks that I'm going to be some really small strawweight, but I think I'll be fine. I think she doesn't realize that pretty much everybody I've fought are flyweights now, and to think that my level might not be the best. I think 9 out of the 10 fighters that I fought as a professional are all UFC fighters or were UFC fighters. I've never fought a low caliber fighter. Even my first fight, it was my first pro fight was at 125, and let's just say that didn't go too well for her. So I'm excited. I'm gonna go in there and she's gonna be surprised. She's gonna get really surprised whenever we tie up, and she's gonna realize that I'm a lot stronger than what she assumed.
Are you expecting to see some names in the strawweight division kind of jump up too? I know, Claudio Gadelha, for example, is somebody that kind of ducked you in a way back in December, and that could be something I would imagine would still kind of be something you'd be interested in.
I would. I think she used to fight at 125s, but now wants to stay at 115. I haven't heard of her say anything that she wants to go up to 125s. I would definitely love to fight her. I definitely want that Marina Rodriguez fight again, for sure, so we can make it right. And I'll go back down for that, But I do see Alexa Grasso. Alexa Grasso's making the move. Courtney Casey, who I just fought, she made the move. So I see a lot of people moving into their right weight class, now. So I'm stoked because we need it. The flyweight division's the newest, so it's wide open, and the more the merrier.
Yeah, and I wonder too if how much. If you're lucky enough to get what Dana promised, the 4 fights in the year, do you have to kind of play their game, or do you really insert a name here and there and really kind of push what you want to do?
For the most part, because I don't say no to any fights, so far most of the names that I've gotten or wanted, I've been able to get, and the only reason I didn't is because either they don't want to fight me or, not because the UFC says no. I mean, for goodness sake, I asked for the number 1 contender, and they gave me the number 1 contender in the main event spot. I'm like, really? I was like, thanks, hey. So because I don't say no, and all the matchmakers know as soon as, even when I'm done fighting, I'm like, hey, tapping their shoulder. I was like, I'm ready for the next. We're ready. And they're like, can you just enjoy your night? You just fought 2 hours ago. Chill. And then, So I think they reward fighters that are willing, that are not difficult. And that are willing to fight, and they work together with this team, with the company. So I'm one of those fighters, and so I'm happy. I'm really happy to be a part of this organization. They're treating me good.
That's perfect. That's what we like to hear, and I hope so much you'll be able to enjoy this. I mean, obviously there's a task at hand, and there might be an empty venue, but I hope you really enjoy this first headlining event. We're going to be watching and looking forward to talking to you next time in person, Cynthia. I can't thank you enough for joining us.
No, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure, like always.
Appreciate you. Thanks again, man. Appreciate you.